Hi, my name is Joanna, and welcome to Rare Connection. Today, I'm joined by Patricia Geurds, who is the ambassador for the National Organization for Rare Diseases, or NORD. She also has a daughter who has a condition called FoxG1, which we will be discussing, and is also an advocate and a author of a book called Writers for Rare. And so I'll let her discuss more on that. So we want to start out with, Patricia, can you discuss your daughter's syndrome, how she was diagnosed?
Sure. So my daughter Kinsley, she's now 12. When she was born, everything was normal. Everything was, her APGAR score, everything was going well. And then around 2 months old, she started to turn like blue. And so we took her to the hospital and they sent her back. They're like, she's okay. She's like a breath holder. And that happened again. And when they were doing they noticed the fontanelle had closed. So they wanted to do different testing and stuff. Geneticists came in, but they really had no diagnosis. And she did okay. So she had her first surgery at 2 months old because she had laryngomalacia. So after that, she would go on to have over 50 surgeries and procedures, and everything kind of cannonballed from there. And they told us when she was about 4 months old, take her home and love her, but she's not going to make it till her first birthday. We don't know what's wrong. We don't know what she has. So we went through the diagnostic journey for many years. It took us almost 9 years to get her diagnosis. And throughout those 9 years, she ended up having seizures, GI issues. She was in and out of the hospital all the time. And, multiple hospitals, multiple doctors out of state here and there. And, we finally got her diagnosis.
Mm-hmm. So you're not the only one that's been one with laryngomalacia.
Mm-hmm.
You want to discuss a little bit about that?
It was funny because she just, you could hear, we had a very long driveway in the house that she was born in, and you could hear her from the bedroom window if you went out to get the mail, the sound of it. It was just it's a stridor, and it was so loud. So if she cried or got upset, it would get more exasperated. But the surgery did great. It fixed it, and we kind of thought okay, the blue spells are over because it was a laryngomalacia, not knowing that all these other things were about to come.
So did she have feeding issues also?
Yes. So she started out, she nursed for 14 months fine, and around 9 months they're like, she's failure to thrive. We need to help her to gain the weight. So we did the NG tube, and she only needed it at night. And every night we'd wrap her up like a little burrito and have to put it all the way down. And it was horrible because it was a 2-man crew, so our lives drastically changed. 8 o'clock, my husband and I had to be home to do that. And then in the middle of the night, you'd hear, she'd rip it out. And, so that was the beginning of that. And after she did that for about 4 months, and they said, we probably should put a G tube in because she's going to need more. And I was very hesitant. I'm like, I don't want to put a hole in her belly, what happens when she wants to wear a bikini when she gets older. But we did that, and it worked for a little while, not long before she started to have more issues. So she wound up with a J tube, and then they proceeded to do a Roux-en-Y, which was, at the time, there was only 5 done in America. It's something tying up the jejunum, and because you can't reflux out, but she still could reflux out of that. So now she had a G and a J hole, and that lasted until she was about 2.5, maybe 3.5. And we had to go with a Broviac, which is the line that goes through your neck to your heart to give the nutrition. Mm-hmm. So now you're in a whole nother world because she has chorea movement. She's always moving, and it's very dangerous. If it gets pulled out, you can bleed to death or whatever. And then the infection started. So you have to be very careful when you hook it up and hook it down. Mm-hmm. And what would happen was, I had to do it with my husband because the nursing agencies didn't want to touch it because it was, I guess, considered, dangerous. They didn't want to get infections. And then she started getting translocation from her stomach up. Mm-hmm. And we would be in the hospital almost every 8 to 10 weeks. Mm-hmm. And she'd be in for 2 weeks to fight the infection, take the antibiotics, come home. And every time that happened, you have to keep feeding the belly to keep all your organs and everything working. She'd drop all the way down. So it took 6 years, multiple line infections, 2 times on life support because she went septic shock from it. And finally we found a doctor, and he was amazing, Dr. Di Lorenzo. He had, he's like, I'm going to take 2 medicines and we're going to get her working. And I did not believe him. I'm like, there's no way. This child can't even get medicine in her stomach at this point because everything just comes up. But those medicines worked. And a year later, she finally got weaned off the Broviac, and knock on wood, has not had all these hospitalizations or anything like that. So we got her life going so much better.
Yeah. So most people are able to come off those tubes, but have you, I was going to say, so you said, so she doesn't have any kind of alarms when they go off at night?
Just the pulse ox, so that way we can check her heart rate and her saturation. And those numbers are so telling. Like, when she's going to start to wake up because her heart rate goes up a little. She gets very low when she's in a deep sleep, and so it alarms me or my husband or the nurses that, if something were to happen with a seizure or something that could hurt with her breathing, we'll know.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, if you're out of sleep, how would you know if there's no alarm that goes off?
Just by the beep of the pulse ox.
Yeah. And so do one of you stay awake at night, or?
Yes, so if we have nursing care, thank God, and it's been a godsend because I've had 3 of my nurses have been with me for almost 10 years now. So at nighttime, they sit with her and they monitor all night. When I don't have a nurse at night, it's me. And when it's just me, she knows it, and she will be up all night because she just wants to play. And she just laughs and parties all night because she's like, Mom's up with me. And sometimes I get in the bed with her, but when those nights happen, I don't sleep. I wait till the next day when I have another nurse come in.
So I saw that you also train your children how to do this.
Yes. So when this all happened, she was so young, and they were so young, and my husband and I wanted to keep their lives as normal as possible with doing all the activities they're doing, but also be part of her care, because it is frightening not knowing when your sister's blue, or there goes mommy to the hospital again. And it was funny when the one time we were at my son's soccer game and Kinsley started to have a little blue spell. So people were like, oh, we'll call 911. And I'm like, no, she's okay. And Fallon, who is she's 3 years older than Kinsley, got the oxygen tank, put the little mask on her, and Kinsley was fine. So yeah, I think for them being part of her care, and we were very honest about things. I tried not to hide things from them because they would just know anyway, so they could be part of the care. And when she has these big seizures, it's like we had a big Great Dane dog, so my son would know, I'm going to take him away. One would call 911, one would get the oxygen. Like, it was like a whole team of, they all knew what exactly to do. And to this day, I'm so impressed by their way of dealing with really challenging situations, but also she just adores them. Like, they're so good for her.
Yeah. How is it on your children learning with all this?
I mean, now that they're older, like when this all began, my son was maybe in 7th grade, so he's now 24. They've just grown, like, with, they've always been kind children, but the empathy and the wanting to help and stuff, I think it inspires them. My one daughter began writing stories about her sister. The other one now, maybe she's going to go to college to become a nurse, because I think that inspired her. And yeah, so I think they have a very different perspective on life, because they don't take anything for granted, because life is so fragile in our home. And so it's nice to see how they've grown. They accept it, and I don't know, I think that they've come out of it pretty good. But I know there's a lot of things I probably missed when they were younger, and that we don't go on vacation anymore because I was always in the hospital with her, and there's things that they unfortunately didn't get to have in life because of their sister. But then I think the flip side is they've gained so much more on the other end of it.
So how did you get into advocacy and all this?
Gosh, it's so funny. The one point they were saying to me, like, they thought she had like a mitochondrial disease, and they're like, it's not looking good, she doesn't have long. And I remember Googling it at the hospital, and I was like, I saw a mom wrote a book about it and was advocating. And I remember looking up to the sky and saying, Lord, wrong mom, I don't want to advocate, I don't want to give speeches, I'm not going to write. And I was always a writer before all this, but I was like, you got the wrong woman, just make my baby safe and healthy, and that's it. And ultimately she did not have a mitochondrial disease. And as much as I tried to fight the advocacy, it just brought me there. Like I started out with writing legislation in New Jersey to change the way insurance companies handle people who have, there's no code for it. Like you have to try medicines, you have to try procedures because you don't even know what the disease is. Like if you had diabetes or you had something that's very common, the medications, the protocol are all aligned. When you don't have that, then you have to keep trying. And then insurances are saying no, they're denying, they're delaying. So I wanted to change that for the children in New Jersey so that they could get the care they need without the delays. And one day I went to a Rare Disease Day at the State House in New Jersey, and I had my legislation, and I was sitting there and just hoping to pass it along somewhere. And at the time, one of the assemblymen says, "Stand up and tell your story." And I'm like I didn't come to do this. And I did. I took that leap of faith and I shared Kinsley's story and the legislation. And from there, I just started to meet all these wonderful people who were like, "We want you to come and sit in on this and that." And I slowly became an advocate, and I started to work for NORD. So NORD, each state has an ambassador. It's the Rare Action Network. And we're like the boots on the ground kind of people, like where we will reach out to the community, get resources to different people, connect families. And the one big thing we do, which I love, is Rare Disease Day. I get to plan that and that type of stuff. And I slowly kind of grew into that, and I've got other opportunities from it, and more speaking engagements, and then meeting people and doing writing. And so it's been exciting. It was not the path I wanted or needed, but what I always tell myself is, when I think back to myself, when I had all these little kids running around, I had Kinsley here, and I'm on the phone with insurance for 2 hours, like, why can't she have the medicine? Or why, I think back to those moms and those families and their stress and the uncertainty and the isolation and loneliness you feel. And that's why I get out of bed and do what I do, because I don't want that for other people and families. And now that I feel like I've come out the other side and I can manage it, I want to help them.
So, for those who don't know, rare diseases, at least in America, they do vary from country to country, but in the U.S. they do, so it's considered as 1 in 200,000. How many, so FoxG1 is a ultra rare.
Ultra rare, yes.
So that's 1 in 50,000.
There's only 12,000 documented cases in the world, and then what I found out was there's variants. There's 100 different variants. So it's like you have this ultra rare, and then all these different variants. So they're the one commonality is all FoxG1s. They're not able to speak, but some can. They don't have tubes. They can walk. They can do other things. Kinsley says "mom" in her version, mom, which is, I love that she can say that. And like most people, parents who have FoxG1 will tell you, like, they speak with their eyes, and there's a special language that you develop because they are nonverbal. And that's another part of the advocacy. Like, Kinsley can't speak up for herself, so spending time in the hospital with doctors and having to advocate, she can't say it, so I had to, and it changed my life because I have a different voice now, and it's much more powerful because of her. Because otherwise, I'm a mom of 5 children, I'm just doing my daily stuff, and now I'm fighting for her services, for her care, for everything that she has. So,
So does she know sign language at all, or
no?
Does she write, or can she use pictures?
She uses like an eye gaze where she can look at the pictures and stuff, and she has like a button she can pick. But ultimately, she'll look with things. Like if you meet her and you get to know her just for a few hours, you'll know her signs. Like if she's done playing, she knocks things off. If she doesn't like something, she'll give you a pouty lip. Always smiling for the most part. Never cries unless she's having pain. And then if we were here talking and she was here, she'd be kicking her feet like, "Hello, talk to me, I'm here." So that's how she communicates. But the eye gaze, like, she'll look at pictures and she can pick choices and stuff like that, like colors and different type of things like that.
So she actually understands what the pictures mean.
Yeah, she understands everything people say, and I always try to let people know that, like, when you're talking around her, she knows what you're saying. Like, sometimes me and my daughters I'll be talking about something like inappropriate that she would, even as a young baby, like, she would laugh at all the appropriate or inappropriate parts.
Yeah.
She gets it, and she also feels the vibes of people around her. So I'm very cautious to make sure that she's in this, like, nice bubble of happy people. Like, if I'm very stressed out or upset, I take a beat. Like, I don't want her to my energy transfer on her. It's like when I'm in the hospital room, like I'll have to walk away and, keep it. I don't want people talking about her and like, this diagnosis or this, that in front of her, because she knows, and I don't want to respect
So that's really common even with people who are verbal, who are, perfectly fine off. Most people with disabilities want to be treated just like anybody else.
Yes.
And you will see people talking to a caregiver. They don't talk to people with disabilities. Mm-hmm. And so they feel left out.
Yep.
And somebody with a rare disease, it's even worse because you're isolated as it is.
Yes.
And so we don't have that connection unless or we're part of an advocacy group, which a lot of people don't know about.
Right.
It took me 48 years to meet somebody with my rare condition.
Wow.
So
48 years.
Yeah. Mine is one of the more common ones. It's called homocystinuria, and it is considered as 1 in 200,000, but it varies. Most common in Qatar. Mm-hmm. It's related to PKU.
Okay, I know about PKU.
Yeah, PKU most people know about from the heel prick when you're born.
Right.
They were the first ones to get that.
Wow.
Back in the 1960s, and
the newborn screening is
It's.
Oh. What are your favorite foods to eat that are?
So summertime I do a lot of salads, but I do have a part of my YouTube channel is I call it Rare Chef. There is an underscore in between Rare and Chef. And I also became a caregiver, and so within my state, the DHS program has so this is a national program. DHS has home care workers and personal support workers that help out on the children's and the child side. There's also personal care attendants who deal mostly with mental health issues.
That's a huge piece of it. I think that is starting to really come to the forefront, like the mental health aspect of how it affects a patient or the caregivers and the family, and there needs to be so much more support there. A lot of times I hear about like rare diseases in like teenagers and stuff. A lot of times it's just diagnosed as you have mental issues. Like if they with the stomach issues, you have a mental issue, or and it just, and like you said, like speaking to the patient. A lot of times I've heard that they speak to the parents while the teenager's there, like, hello, I'm here, like talk to me and help. And that's a big part. A lot of people I speak with are trying to help empower their the younger children who are old enough to speak and talk, and let them be part of their journey and their caregiving and have a say in it, because just because you have a rare disease doesn't mean that you're not completely all there to do that, and sometimes that gets missed. And it's important for doctors to know that they need to speak to the patient, and I think they have to have a little different approach. Like, I'm lucky, I feel like I found some amazing doctors who were really good to Kinsley and to me. I mean, I wouldn't be in a hospital like 2 months straight. That's my family, that's my home now. Yeah. So I was blessed to find doctors who didn't give up and kept pushing and doing what they needed to do for her. Like, we had to go way outside the box for a lot of her treatments, but it's important. And then, mentally speaking, your whole life goes upside down, and you're trying to like figure it out, and there is no support. Like, when people would say, what's wrong with Kinsley? She didn't have a diagnosis. I'm like, I'm going to list 21 symptoms. Yeah. No one wants to hear that. And it was just so hard because, they're back in the hospital again. And you get the meal trains and you get the support. And I was very supported by my community, which I'm still very grateful for. But you're just different. You're at a different pace now, and people, they leave you behind because you're not doing what you used to do socially, or and it definitely changes you.
So you mentioned that what kind of things have you learned from Kinsley?
I learned, I've always known love, but unconditional love, and the trust that she has. Like, no matter what, she trusts and loves everyone around her. And you'll be in this situation with her, and she just looks at you, and not with panic or fear, but you got this, Mom, And I feel like that's been a beautiful thing for me, because I didn't always trust everything and everyone around me. new perspective on life completely, like what really matters compared to what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that, like, the strength and resilience of her, I don't know how she's had multiple code blues and all these, I've had to resuscitate her so many times, and she just comes back like, hey, and it just makes you see life so differently. It is so fragile, and you have to make every day count and be meaningful. And it can be hard because not everybody has a happy day all the time, but in her world, when you're with her, you just light up and you feel that happiness, and I want to hold on to that more, like just more and more. And I think everyone who meets her learns something new about life, and I think it's a greater appreciation for, she's unable to walk, she's not able to speak, or she can eat like a little bit of food for taste, but all those things that we take for granted that we can do every day, we just sometimes complain, like, oh, I don't want to go food shopping, and I don't want to make dinner. But you're lucky that you have that advantage to do that. Where she never looks around at anybody like, oh, you're eating, you're walking, and gets frustrated, which is very nice. But it's just like when you see life through her eyes, she's like a little gift that just makes you realize that you can have very little things in life and have the biggest, most happiest life. You don't need all of that other stuff, and that's been an important one. And like I said, she gave me a lot of confidence in my voice, because now I feel like if I gotta stand up to a doctor or to this person or that person and stand up for her or myself or my other children now, there's no hesitation. Because when you have Kinsley, who can be in life or death, you can't hesitate, and you can't be scared to hurt someone's feelings, or you can't be like, oh, I'll keep this inside. You got to let that out, and you got to be fierce, and you got to be on point. And I love that, because I think that's how I was as a child. And then through my 20s and 30s, you kind of like, I feel like a lot of women lose themselves because you're listening to everyone's criticisms about your children, or you have teachers and doctors telling you what to do, and you have coaches and other moms and everybody. It's like a so much judgment and pressure. Well, is your child doing this, and what's his grades, and what's her grade? And you lose yourself, like your boundaries fall. And now I have them back, and it feels good. Like I know who I am, and like I say, my circle is like a little polka dot now, like by my own choice. Like in the beginning, a lot of people fell off. I don't think they knew what to say to me or how to be. But as time went on, and I started to realize other people, if they're not going to bring happiness, and they're just going to bring commiseration, and I don't mind people complaining at all, but when it becomes like that type of thing, I don't have time for it. Like I want to enjoy every moment with my daughter, my other children, and my husband, and that's it. So I feel like any life I was wasting on other things, it's gone.
Yeah. So as we mentioned this off before the podcast, but there is a program called it's an app actually that the fire department put out because they need help with CPR because they're so swamped, and it's called Pulse. Okay. And you can actually get a lot of practice with CPR on it. There's not enough people who get practice with CPR. People forget, and so that's why you have to get recertification every 2 years.
Yes. And it changes. It's changed. Some of the things have changed.
Yeah.
From we took baby Pete CPR. My son's 24 now. When he was a baby, and like the way you did it then compared to now has actually, the standards have changed. So. Yeah,
and also a lot of people don't know just chest compressions.
Yes.
Will actually save a lot of people just without the breathing.
Yeah.
So.
And it's hard. Like I remember doing that on the doll and stuff. It's hard. I feel like everyone should learn CPR in some sense, because you just never know when you're going to need it.
Yeah. But it's staying alive is the
yes. Wait, I don't know if you ever watched The Office.
Yeah.
When he's doing. Did you ever see that episode?
No.
Okay, you have to Google that. The Office, when they're doing CPR and the guy's singing "Staying Alive," you need to watch that episode. Yeah. It is hysterical, but it's true. That's how you you have to watch it. You'll love it.
Yeah,
it's so funny. Yeah.
But yeah, that's. But it's different from children to adults. Yeah. So even babies are different. So you did have to get certified.
Yeah. And then we just got recertified about a year and a half ago because she started having the seizures that were so bad that she just needed to be resuscitated. And I had done it right, but I didn't do it as well as once I learned it again. So I'm grateful that I was able to get her back, because remembering all that stuff, like you said, and you're in the middle of a situation where it's your own child. Like it's not often you have to resuscitate someone you actually know and love dearly. So when I went back in and redid it again, it was much, like we got one of those flat boards that goes underneath instead of putting her on the floor, because sometimes she's in her crib. Because when we did it in the crib, like it's too soft and stuff. So we learned a lot of different apparatuses that could help slide it under and get her going in an emergency.
Yeah. Now they're even starting to teach it online, which I don't know if I trust that. But they have this kind of a box thing with a light inside, and if you don't press hard enough, you won't pass.
Right.
And so that's how now the Home Care Commission is starting to teach it. Is because most of the stuff they do isn't in person anymore, and since COVID.
Right.
So much of the world is turning towards Zoom and other things because nobody wants to leave the home anymore.
Yeah.
And we've become even lazier than we already are.
It's so true. And the truth is, like, Zoom has been my best friend because I can do all my different committees and advocate from home. I can be peeling the potatoes for dinner. Kinsley can be there if need be. And so I love that because I can work and do all the committees and all that I need to do from home. But I do like being out in person. That's why I'm happy to be here in person. Like, I like meeting people and being in meetings where you're sitting face to face. And, I'm not a homebody. I prefer to be in person, but it's nice when you can reach across the globe or across the country via Zoom. So there's...
Yeah. So I've done about 10 podcasts that are international.
Okay.
The last one was with Make-A-Wish Foundation, which was the 3rd anniversary episode.
They're a wonderful organization. I love them.
That was Make-A-Wish International in Amsterdam.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, so, but do you work with Every Life Foundation also?
I have, yes.
Yeah, there's another one. It's fairly, I think this is one of the newer ones, is Simon Searchlight. They do a lot with seizures.
See, Everyday Life Foundation, we had a meeting and we did a lot of preparatory for it to talk about seizures and stuff and how it affects our families and stuff. And that was really exciting because I got to share Kinsley's story and share the importance of like how epilepsy affects families and children and stuff like that. So the FDA could really know like when they're approving and not approving, like to get it from a whole different perspective. And the one interesting question was like risk benefit to, would you take something new or new treatment or therapy or medication? And the one mom on there, her daughter has so many seizures in a day. Now Kinsley, knock on wood, does not. They're more rare. They're dangerous but more rare. And like what she'd be willing to do, well, she needs to stop those seizures because it's limiting for her daughter. But now that I'm out of the hospital for 3 years and their seizures are controlled, I would be less likely to do that. But it's good for the people who are making decisions, like where your risk benefit is. Like when Kinsley was at the end of her Broviac, like she ran out of access points, and they had palpable come in and say basically she had access points, so we can't give her nutrition. And luckily this doctor came up with the medicine that fixed it. But I would have tried anything at that point, anything to save her, So now, like when they want you to go into trials for FDA and that type of stuff, like I'm less likely to do that because I'm finally home. I've been home almost 3 years straight with her. We have our family life back. But someone else who was in more critical would jump right into that. And it was fun sharing those experiences and just seeing everyone's different perspectives on how that works.
Talk about the FoxG1 Foundation. So what do you do with them?
Well, I was working with them for a little bit with advocacy, but that kind of just fell off a bit for me just from other work I'm doing. But there's co-founders, Natasha Fritter and Nicole Johnson. They're magnificent. They both have FoxG1 children, and they created this foundation, and they have their own lab where they're doing the gene therapy and stuff. And the gene therapy testing is coming soon, which is amazing. Like the beginning trials, they've raised a lot of money. They have the citizen system that they've done, and then they did like the natural studies.
I was looking at the clinical trials on this. And
they've done amazing work, and in such a short time. Like, they've fast-paced it. So partially when I started to talk to them, I think it was a year or two ago, I was going to do like some more advocacy and things like that for them, and then it kind of went into fundraising and things. So that's kind of why I fell off a bit. I'm not good at asking for money, and I'm not good at asking for help. And I haven't really shared Kinsley's diagnosis, which some people will find it odd, but I feel like I feel like I want to protect some of my privacy and hers, you know, and then I am sharing a lot more about FoxG1, but I didn't. Initially, when I got the diagnosis when she was 9, like, I really fell into a hole, which was weird because it didn't change how she was cared for or anything. But it was just like, you finally get a diagnosis, and it's a lot. And so I didn't even research it for over a year. And then I was brought into it, and that's how I started to work with FoxG1 Foundation. And so I guess I kind of just keep that still as a little personal piece. Like, it's out there, but it's not like, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not embarrassed or ashamed of it at all. Like, I'm happy she has a diagnosis, but people still don't understand what it is. I don't know if I fully understand all of FoxG1 because there's a lot to it, but her diagnosis, it does not define her at all. And I always say that's why it's nice to have a name and a label, but it doesn't change anything for me now or even then.
Right. As long as it's known off of and a researcher actually pointed this out, but a lot of the rare conditions are known off of their genetic code, which is what FoxG1 is, and the other one is a doctor's name. If they're known under those, it's not the most appropriate name because it doesn't say anything about the condition.
Right.
It doesn't explain what the condition is. And most doctors aren't looking up what a rare condition is. They're so wrapped up in their own thing.
Yeah.
And especially if they're in a specialty, they're looking at their own specialty. They're not combining with other doctors, and doctors don't communicate, let alone look up a rare disease that very few people have.
Right.
And they don't have time for that.
No, that's part of, like, I've been trying to push this for a while, like, sharing. I know doctors share, like, researchers, scientists, doctors share their journals and stuff, but how to create a system where it's so much easier to put in. Like, Kinsley had the West test when she was 2 years old, the whole exome, and nothing came up from it. And they missed the FoxG1 on that. And my doctor, so we were at CHOP, and then we went to DuPont, and long story short, my doctor from DuPont went over to the clinic back to CHOP, and he was like, called me one day, and he's like, I think we know what this could be with Kinsley. We want to get the West test done. I think working with the genetics counselors, he's like, I think we know what it is. And it's funny because the symptoms are spot on for her. Like, seizures don't start till you're 2 years old, and so many things. It totally fits Kinsley. So he went above and beyond. His name's Dr. Matt Demsko. He's the one who wrote the foreword for the book. He was doing research, and he found it, and that's how we found it. Otherwise, I don't know if and when we would ever found out what she had. So I applaud him for keeping in and digging in and do that. But like you said, there's a lot of doctors, they're so busy, they're constantly trying to find these things and study and research, and I just wish there was a better way to share that information.
Yeah, and what you got to point out is you never know when somebody's going to walk through your door that's rare.
Right.
And so I always appreciate it when a doctor is willing to look up a condition.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, especially if you have a patient with it.
I mean, to put those pieces together is probably not easy, and that's why I think some of these doctors are so thoughtful, and they take that home with them, and they say, I'm going to figure it out, and they dig in and get that. And that's why I've had doctors that I'm like, leave, go, you're just blowing smoke up my tush. But then the ones that are good, you can tell, like, there's a different way about them. And one thing I would love to tell parents and people in general and patients, like, you can question your doctor. If you don't agree with what they're doing, or you want to ask why you're doing this test or what this means, you have to have that voice. Because I grew up with, your doctor says this, you take some cough syrup, you do this, and you follow it. And then with Kinsley, when things didn't add up to me, and like there was odd things, I was like, wait a minute, they're not God, they don't know everything. I could ask for someone else to look, or I can question, like, why, like, they had wanted to do a spinal tap on her, but they'd already done the test So the spinal tap was just extra. And my husband's like, we're taking her home. What's the point? We'll wait for this other test to come in, which will come, So like, I think people, even with mothers who have perfectly healthy and normal children, like you have to sometimes question the doctors. And like my daughter broke her arm. She was 18 months, Maeve. She fell. I brought her to the doctor, and he's like, it's not swollen. Do you really want me to put x-rays on her and radiate her? And I was like, oh, I guess not. Brought her home. 4 days later, I'm like, this, and she didn't, none of it, we've all broken bones. We don't swell, we don't bruise. And I was like, it was Halloween, and she was in a little angel costume because her big sister was the devil and she was the angel. And I'm like, something's not right. So we finally got the doctor to write x-rays, and then it was Halloween on a Friday, and he's like, it was broken in half. And he was like, oh, well, no one's going to cast you, wait till Monday. I'm like, I'm not waiting till Monday. She's already had this boo-boo arm for, 4 days. So I went to an orthopedist right before they closed, and they sang Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel to her because she was in a little angel costume because she was scared. She was 18 months getting her little cast on. But, that was my first time with doctors being like, maybe they're not always right. And he was like, I can't believe you want to put x-rays on her and radiate her. I'm like, I just want to know that her arm's not broken, So I think it's important that people don't just follow protocol because that's not always, especially if you're rare, because you don't fit any of the protocol.
Yeah, a lot of rare disease patients also have multiples. I love this line, but he's actually an author also, which a lot of the rare disease patients are authors, but this is probably my 6th episode of Our Connection. Some people collect stamps, some people collect coins. I seem to collect rare conditions. I really need to change my hobby. I love that line.
That is.
And
wow.
But it does fit. I mean, I know people with 30 different rare conditions, and so it's and you wonder how many of those conditions are fitting into another or fitting a condition that we don't know about yet.
Yeah. Well, that's what they said, that Kinsley's, whatever she has, it's probably not been discovered yet. And that's the thing about sharing, like, your research, like the brain with Kinsley, with epilepsy. People may not study FoxG1 per se, but what you find within the brain for other diseases like Parkinson or Alzheimer's, same thing with like GI issues, like more common ones, that could be something that could help a FoxG1 patient. So like sharing that data, whether you're studying FoxG1 or seizures or this, all connects to the brain. So if they could share that more, and like that's how you're going to find new things. Like Kinsley's medication, they're now using that the doctor discovered that would work, the 2 medicines for other FoxG1 patients now because it worked for Kinsley. So that's a little something Kinsley was able to give back to people because...
Yeah, and even among different species, I just did there's something called One Health, where it's even animals use human drugs. Oh. And so it works the other way around. There's a medication being studied for its feline infectious peritoneal disease, and which is the cat version of COVID.
Oh.
And so it's now being studied for long COVID.
Interesting.
In humans, and so it's the foundation is called Every Cat Health Foundation.
That's interesting.
And so but you think about it, human drugs are used for seizures and cats and all kinds of things, and so it works both ways.
Like ivermectin for horses, I use that all the time, but that's what, I have a holistic doctor, and that's what I used during COVID to prevent it. Like I took them every weekly thing just to kind of prevent it, and then when everyone got COVID, it helped ease the symptoms. So it's funny because that's what they use with horses, and it's actually a very good drug to take and helpful.
Yeah, this one's called remdesivir.
I feel like I've heard of that. I don't know. Why would I have heard of that?
I don't know.
I don't have cats either, but...
Yeah. And so there's... a lot of the drugs are repurposed, aspirin, blood thinners. A lot of the seizure meds are used in cats or other animals, even dogs. So they're interchangeable.
Yeah, they are.
But you have to know the species, and so you still want to talk to your vet, but
Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about that at all.
Neither had I until I did the podcast. I'm like, yeah, this could work. And so,
yeah, that's interesting.
And so you think about the different connections, and so but season 6 of this was almost all repurposed drugs. Because they are starting to use a lot of repurposed drugs for other conditions.
That's what saved my daughter's life.
Yeah. And so but one of the researchers also pointed out this when he's studying a drug for both McKean-Albright syndrome and Duchenne's muscular dystrophy is what he's using this drug for. He's one of the researchers in Washington, and they're both for that specific condition. Now Duchenne's actually has a cure.
It does?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
But he also pointed out that the rare diseases are now getting a voucher, and so they have more people studying them.
Yeah.
Because of the financial issue, it was why they weren't being studied. But if you also go overseas, people don't think global. You can go outside of the country, and people travel for care all the time. But people don't think about doing it for a clinical trial. You can do that for a clinical trial, and people are, especially with the rare diseases, ultra rares especially. Some of them, the people have lost everything. The neurodegenerative conditions, I really feel for them. They've lost everything by the time they're 4. And kids that could speak 2 or foreign languages, and I know there's one kid who passed away from one of the conditions before he was 7. And was playing chess as 4 years old. I'm like, what kid plays chess at 4?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, they were going to put him in a advanced class in kindergarten. I didn't know that existed.
Yes, I didn't either. It is so sad. And I feel like that with Kinsley, this has always been Kinsley.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine being an adult or a child, where you have, like you said, your life is normal, and then all of a sudden, bam.
Yeah.
I think that is probably a lot harder than experiencing what I did with Kinsley. We grew together with this, and we learned together. But to lose your functionality is a whole different.
Yeah, and you also don't think it also affects the whole family.
Yeah.
So this is something that I'm sure has affected your entire family.
Yeah. I mean, my family, I guess in so many ways, I'll start with marriage. You get married, you have these children, and your life is going along, and then all of a sudden this happens. And the majority of marriages, they don't last through a child who's in and out of the hospital and stuff. So for us, it was, he was home with 4 little children. I'm at the hospital. We'd switch out, of course, because I wanted to be with my other children, but he owned his own business. And ultimately, we lost the business because he couldn't keep up doing all of it. And this is in the beginning when Kinsley was really in the hospital a lot. I couldn't work because I didn't work before I had Kinsley. And, your mom, you have all these children, and then you're going to go back to work, and then she's in the hospital, or, the nurse doesn't show up. Or in the first 2 years, we had no nursing at all. I don't know how I survived that because we never slept. So it's a strain, but I'm very lucky in that my husband Dolph has been loving, supportive, and just gets me through it.
Oh, your husband's great.
He is. He drove me here today. It was pouring rain, and it's a city, Pat. I'm going to get you there. Otherwise, you'll wind up in Delaware or somewhere. I'm like, you're right.
Who's with your kids?
My nurse is with Kinsley. So my children now are Hayden's 24, he lives on his own, and then 22, 19, and 16.
Yeah, so most of your kids are out of the house.
Well, no, only Hayden. The other ones are still there, but yeah, so they're a lot more self-sufficient. But in the beginning, it was I was there consistently. Dolph worked a lot, and it was Mom. Mom was up in the morning, making breakfast, getting him to school. And then I was the one that tucked him in at night. He would too, but it was always Mom. And then all of a sudden, poof, Mom's gone with Kinsley. So that dynamic was, things weren't, we had help, like my one sister-in-law, my parents, but things weren't done the same, like the breakfast they would eat or doing homework or their bedtime routine. And it shifted them a lot. And then, we ended up moving to a different home. We moved a lot. But so everything that was stable just kind of crumbled. And you don't feel it when you're going through it because you're like in survival mode. Like, I just got to get through this. I got through this. And we never want any of the other children like to miss out. So we were like, they went to dance and soccer and travel and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, like those years I look back and say, how did we get through it? Because it was exhausting. Yeah. But you don't feel that. I lost a lot of friends, and then some of my husband's family we don't speak with anymore. There was a lot of judgment and blame. I'll never understand that. Like, she's not sick, she looks fine, because she looks perfectly normal. I was a bad mom, I was causing it. Like, my breast milk was causing her to have reflux and just so much stuff. And you just get to that point where it's too much. And
they just don't understand.
They don't. And I'm okay. Like, if people have questions, there's curiosity, and I get it. People won't understand it. You have to live it to know it. But to try to be understanding or have some empathy for the situation, and I did not receive any of that. Yeah. I got criticism all the time, and I was like, I'm doing pretty good considering everything that's happening, And so that's hard. That's really hard, because all you want to do is like be held up through it, and the people who you think will be there, they're not there. But then other people who you barely know, or in the community, or a parent or a friend, they're there. I'll take her to school. Like the one year, the teacher it was picture day, and I always had my girls' hair curled with the bows and stuff, and the teacher's like, I'll do it all for him, Pat. I know you're in the hospital. And I was gonna drive home early in the morning too. She's like, nope, I got it. I know how you like it to look. So like, there's such generosity and kindness that comes out of places you'd never expect, and then where you would expect it, it's the exact opposite. So it's gutting, really hard. I would never treat someone the way I would have been treated by people that I loved and respected.
Yeah. Learning, but also from the other person's perspective, learning to ask the questions. You don't always think of the questions to ask, and people haven't seen this, and so it's a learning curve.
Definitely.
But you have to learn to ask questions and not blame. I do a podcast on this. Actually, I did it. It's not really a podcast, but this was before I started doing the podcast. Because I have been blamed, because I have been accused of faking it also. And so it's a video on all the different things that we hide, or that aren't seen, like bite marks on your tongue from a seizure, which you can't swallow your tongue, and that's one of the misnomers.
Right.
Don't ever stick anything inside somebody's mouth.
Yes.
Because they will choke on it. Your tongue does go down your throat, but you can't, it's impossible to choke on it. With a seizure, you do want to turn them on their side. It is a rescue. That's considered the rescue mode, because you will throw up. You will actually asphyxiate on vomit. And that was actually the last thing I remember with my last stroke, was throwing up my medications.
Really?
Yeah. And I had multiples inside the hospital. But before I even went to the hospital, my father was walking me out to the living room inside my house, and I couldn't balance. And he said, what are your normal symptoms of a seizure? My balance goes off, I get really bad headaches, I throw up, it's it's all this stuff. And so I had my roommate at the time, who was blind, I had to yell because I was paralyzed on my left side before I left the house. And so I walked back to my room and was sitting on the bed, and I asked my roommate for a glass of water, and she brought it back, and I found out I couldn't hold up my arm. And I said, Dad, come back. And I should have called 911.
Yes.
And she actually asked me, do you want to have 911? I mean, I had visions of this before, but I've always been turned away from calling 911 because it's emergency, and so you don't really think of yourself as going through an emergency situation at that time.
Are you scared?
Yeah, it was scary. When you wake up and your left side is completely paralyzed, you can't feel anything. I welcome pain. Pain,
wow, that's interesting.
Because pain at least is feeling.
Wow.
You know you can move.
Mm-hmm.
When you're numb, you can't move anything.
Wow,
and so it's a complete learning curve. You have to learn everything all over again. I had to learn to talk again. I had to learn to walk again. It's like the 2-year-old kid walking from parent to parent.
And you want to say, like, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
And it's not coming out.
It's coming out, but it's like you're drunk.
And then you want to be able to move your arm, and that must be so terrifying.
You can't lift your arm.
Can't lift your arm.
The water glass poured right onto the ground.
Oh my gosh.
And so this is what you go through. And even with the seizure meds afterwards, after I learned how to walk again, you're going back and forth. I got pulled over for drunk walking all the time. Because yeah,
what are they doing out there in Oregon?
No, because people thought I was drunk because
goodness.
the seizure meds cause ataxia,
mm-hmm.
and so with ataxia, you're walking like a drunk person.
Oh my gosh!
And so,
what do you say when they?
I said, "Here's my seizure meds." You know.
Did they ever make you do a
and so
field sobriety test?
No, but they will. Gosh. But they will come. They'll come and ask you and say somebody called and said you were drunk. And,
oh my goodness!
And so they will call it in. They ask for your ID. They'll call it in and find out you're not drunk.
Yeah. Oh my goodness!
And so, but even to this day, the doctors in the emergency room especially if your B12 deficiency can also look a lot like a stroke. And because the first thing you have is a numb face.
Yes.
And so you're also talking like a drunk person with that. And you have the balance issues with it also. So the first thing they'll do is generally CAT scan. But in the emergency room, they're so used to getting drunk people.
Oh no!
And so it's the first thing they think of, and they don't look at your chart because they don't have time.
Right.
And you're lucky if they know your name, even though you have to repeat everything over and over
again. Yeah. Every time the doctor comes in, you're saying the same thing.
Yeah, and so I was up at Oregon Health and Sciences University because I go there for my metabolic appointments, and that's also where they have the food room, which is all of our medical foods and formulas and stuff. But because they all have to be prescribed by a doctor, they actually sent a neurologist in and says, "Is there some reason?" Again, most people don't even notice it, but he says, "Is there some reason why the left side of your face is driven?" Yeah, I had a chart. Yeah, if you'd have looked at my chart, you don't know I had a stroke.
Oh no. That doesn't instill confidence.
Yeah.
I'll be like, no.
And this was a B12 deficiency, but they actually asked me with that too. And I'm just, this is before I actually knew what a seizure was, because they asked me, do why do you think you had a stroke? And I'm like, just pointing.
Yes.
And because you think, at that time I could still think, had pretty good, I knew medical terminology and that type of stuff, but because I was studying as a CNA, my dad put me through CNA class. He recommended that I take CNA classes when I was younger, and I took about 4 CNA classes before I just said, they told me I wasn't fast enough at making beds. And so at that time you had to be able to make a bed in 5 minutes, and I mean perfectly like army beds,
right. Drop a coin.
Yeah. And so, and they also taught you a way that you'll never ever transfer a patient anymore. Give us a big hug, and
really?
that will pull you over.
Yes.
If the person is not balancing right.
Right.
And so they quit doing that, but yeah, that's how I learned how to transfer.
Wow. Yeah.
Give me a big hug, and it's you
don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
yeah, things have definitely changed from what they once were with that type of stuff.
Yeah, but the one thing I was grateful for, and this is because this is how I learned to walk again, was a gait belt. I learned to walk by, I was able to walk inside with a walker and a walker inside the hospital, but they sent me home with a wheelchair also. You don't know fear until you go backwards in a wheelchair, up a stair.
Oh.
Because they have to pop a wheelie in order to get you up a stair.
Yes.
Even the one stair that's inside my house, it's scary going backwards.
I have to remember that with Kinsley, because sometimes we pull her up backwards, and I don't know if she's like, oh my God, what are you doing? Or if she likes it, because sometimes the kids will spin her around it and stuff, but I don't like going backwards in anything. You know, like sometimes you're in like a bus or whatever it is, a train, I don't like going backwards.
Yeah, going backwards is fine, but when you have to tip somebody,
so
it's
you're like,
am I going to go back? Am I going to fall over?
Yeah,
and
you have to trust the operator of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so but going downstairs is really scary. But that was my whole goal with rehab, was going down my parents' cement stairs.
Oh my God! Did you have
that have no railing?
I was going to ask you that.
But I practiced all of the streets in there's a city, it's like Oswego in Oregon, where my mom lives. These people could own a mansion because I mean it's the rich area of Oregon. And when we moved from California, we actually could have owned a mansion. But my father was a workaholic. He owned he had the work of 4 people and was about to start another business when he passed away at 64 because of a knee surgery.
Oh my goodness.
And they didn't put him on blood thinners, and so he either had a embolism or a stroke, and we don't know which, because he chose to be a donor, an organ donor, and they had to take the organs right away, and so we couldn't do an autopsy. Wow. But I just know that he was in and out of consciousness, and I used to kick myself because I knew CPR at the time. When somebody can still breathe, it's too soon to do CPR anyway, but they couldn't get his heart beating fast enough, and so he passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, this was 2005. It was the same year as my stroke, towards the end of it. And it was probably about 2 weeks after his surgery. But they just figured he's in perfect health.
Right. I mean, my father is similar situation. That's when you're talking about going up and down the steps, and that. So my father got diagnosed with prostate cancer. His numbers were way high. He didn't take care of it soon enough, and they said, you'll be fine. We're going to do the cancer treatment. This was, I think, in January this year, and then they're like, just don't fall and break because it is in his bones. All right. On March 14th, he fell and broke. He broke his hip, and it's been such a long ride trying to get him back to, because he has bad knees. He had double knee replacement because we had a car accident when I was young, and the knee doesn't bend, so he has trouble getting up. And like when you're saying relearning to walk and doing all that, I've been doing that with my father at the rehabilitation center, which I'm not happy with him there. Like they're not the keenest on what he needs, and it's kind of every day the same thing, and it's like we need to help him do more. But he just got home on July 5th finally after almost 3 months in and out of the hospital and then being in the rehabilitation center. So he is learning to rewalk. And when I think about the wheelchair and he's like, I need the railing to get up and down steps. That's what reminded me of with you. How long did it take you?
It took me about a year.
A year.
Before I got walking again. But it's a lot of practice because I did a lot of walking in my parents, because all of the streets are intertwined, and you got to really listen because there's no sidewalk either.
Oh.
And so you listen for cars, and so it trains your hearing. And also at that time I was probably better at navigating because I got turned around inside the hospital a lot, so they worked with me a lot on that. The last day of rehab, I was in rehab for probably about 2 weeks before they released me back home. But they took us out to dinner and didn't tell us we would all have a task.
Oh.
That was a smart move because nobody would have gone. It was all something we all had to work on. And mine, too, were leading everybody back to the hospital and figuring out the tip. And
you said you always get turned around.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And
did you guys make it back?
Yeah, and he's all, they showed me the way over there, but then they said, you better pay attention because you're going to be leading everybody back.
Oh my God. What if you led them the wrong way?
I'm sure they would have corrected it.
Yeah, that's fun. And how did you do with the tip? I'm not good at math. So.
Math I was never good at, but yeah, they helped with that. But
that's fun though.
Yeah, it was an Indian restaurant that we went to. Probably not the best for me.
I was gonna say
because I don't know.
You can't. Yeah.
At that time, you're thinking because when I grew up, they just said, just follow a vegan diet, you'll be fine.
Right.
And so, and my mom still believes this to this day. It's not animal protein. And so, but it doesn't matter. Protein is protein.
Right.
And so, there's people who can have 2 grams of protein a day, and it's like, how do you survive?
Yeah.
That's straight medical food. And so, because there's nothing in the store. I mean, it's even things like oranges and peas and most beans and nuts and things all have protein.
Oh my goodness.
And it's, if you think of it, I mean, it's mostly the liquids that are fine, because whereas it's the meat, the pulp that has all the protein.
I didn't even know that.
And so if you're looking at meats, some gravies are fine because it's liquid. So I would say it's a wonder we're not walking amoebas because it's
wild.
Yeah, and so but all of the foods are trying to get more protein because people are muscle builders and
they do all the whey powder and all that stuff to get fit. And it's wild, and your body rejects it. It's such an odd thing how our bodies are.
Yeah, and so with me, I have to. So we learn to adjust diets, adjust recipes quite a lot. But like I said, flours or starches. With eggs, a lot of especially the Bob's Red Mill egg replacer has. It uses, I believe it was corn husk that is in their egg replacer.
Does it taste like eggs?
Yeah, it actually does.
But it's not an egg.
But no, so with the egg replacers, I've learned add black salt.
Black salt. Okay.
It makes it look and it makes it taste and smell like
an egg.
But
it's not an egg.
No,
that's pretty wild that they can make something that isn't that but tastes like that.
And they'll also, it has directions on the Bob's Red Mill package to turn it into a whole egg or a yolk.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's interesting. How they can make that.
It's in how much liquid you add. So but there's very few things that you need the whole egg for. And so most of it's just the yolk. In fact, if you use starches, you don't need eggs at all. Even if you go back on the recipe, the old Betty Crocker stuff, they made it just that way, so because of the homemakers at the time. We'll add an egg because to make this a little bit harder, because you don't need it.
You don't need an egg.
No.
Huh. I didn't know that. And I do Betty Crocker. That's why I don't bake from scratch.
Yeah. So
Nope.
a lot of those cake recipes, you just add a can of soda and it's fine.
Really?
Yeah. Any liquid it'll hold it together.
That's interesting.
It might get a little crumbly with some of the sodas, but it works. But again, sodas can also be used as cleaners, and so you wonder how good they are for you.
I've seen that where people put it in the toilet and
But so how do you take care of yourself?
I like bubble baths.
Yeah.
I like to be in water. I don't think I took care of myself very much in the early years at all, because I always say the worst day is coming home from the hospital, because new medicines, all this stuff you have to matriculate yourself in, and then there's mail, the other children who are waiting, who've missed you, who need all your time and love and energy, and the housework, everything, and all you want to do is crawl into bed and just get in your own bed and take a shower and sleep. But I never did. I never could, because I wanted to give what I could to all the children. So I would spend this cycle of many days after just trying to do everything I could to be with them, make everything normal again. And then I usually would crash out after 2 weeks. I would just finally, all that I held in, I would just cry and release. So I take a lot of baths. That's my release. I love music, all kinds. So sometimes just getting in the car and blare music makes me extremely happy. Lately, I've been going through a lot with my father and my family, with him being sick, so my husband's been taking me to the beach. That's why I finally have a tan. Get in the water, sand, get grounded. So, but throughout the years now, I've learned different things. Sometimes I'll try breathing. I like to put my feet on the grass as much as I can and get some sunlight, because I feel like that's calming. But I feel like I take so much better care of myself now. But back then, I don't think there was anything I felt that I deserved to do for myself, because I had left my other 4 children.
And so many caregivers are like that too. They don't take care of themselves.
Right.
And even the person that they're caring for is so dependent on them that they become attached to them, and it's the only person that they'll let take care of them.
Yes.
Caregiving, I've learned, that causes health issues for you.
I've had multiple issues from it. So the first year of Kinsley's life, she slept on top because she didn't really sleep. So I had back surgery when I was pregnant with Maeve, 8 months pregnant, a laminectomy. So after that first year of Kinsley, literally sleeping on me, and the stress of it all, I had to have another back surgery. But they wound up taking too much out, so I was bone on bone. So that following year, I'm crawling on the floor. If you have a bad back, bad spine, it's misery. You just can't move around. So I had to have a spinal fusion. And, 2 weeks after the spinal fusion, I'm in the hospital with her. And I'm laying there, and obviously I can't lift or move her, but, you get home, you're driving when you shouldn't do, all this other stuff. So that was one of the big things that wore and tear on me is my back, my physical. It definitely takes a toll. Sleeping is hard for me now. I just wake up, my mind racing, and I used to be able to hear every little sound of hers. We have an air condition in the room nonstop all year round, because otherwise I can hear her in the night if she's awake, if she's moving, if she's crying, and I'll just jump up and want to like go be with her. So I have that noise to kind of like, so I can actually rest. It's hard like that. So like a lot of my sleep patterns, and that gives you all the other issues in your health because you're tired, and like I have constant knots here. Like I don't think they're ever going to go away. And I don't know if it's now she's bigger to lift or if it's just like the constant like stress that has to be relieved.
Do you have a Hoyer lift?
I do.
Yeah, a lot of people say that they don't have enough room inside their home for a Hoyer lift, and they actually have ceiling Hoyer lifts,
right.
But they're normally only used in a facility. You can get them from the home. I have seen videos on it.
Yeah, I have a friend who has one for her son. And it goes around the ceiling.
I would love to talk to somebody who, I've been desperately trying to find somebody who has one.
I'll give you her information.
Yeah.
She's lovely. She's also an Nord ambassador as well. And she wrote in the book, and yeah, she's great, and she'll give you a lot of information on it.
Yeah, because that's something nobody knows about.
Yes.
It's one of the things that a physical therapist can teach you a lot about. I learned so much from physical therapists.
Yes.
And occupational therapists too. Occupational therapists have all the toys and stuff. I would love to be an occupational therapist. But it's just they have so much, but that has got to be the most rewarding position.
I mean, Kinsley's had a lot of different therapists, but she had two. Michelle and Joe were with her for the longest time, and they just watched her grow and progress, and they would come up with all these fun different activities to do, and she would just be so excited to do them. And seeing her progress, like that's one thing. She's never gone backwards with things, but like, you know, she didn't have a pincher grip. Now she does is pinch me. But like going to midline, and like now she can hold things in her hands and do things that she never could do. So when you're watching the therapist and they're watching her for many years learn and do it, like you can see how happy everybody feels about it, because you put all this time and energy into this little girl, and she's giving it all back. Like she works hard in her therapies. She works like with a little gait trainer, like she has a stander, like in the gait trainer she goes backwards more than forwards, but you know, she works so hard. And that's the other thing I think about the perspective is like, you know, people are at the gym working out or playing sports, and they're like, oh, this is annoying, and that's human nature. But like for Kinsley, like she has to do this so that she can, you know, stand tall or like just be, and she just puts her whole heart and soul into it. Like there's no like, well, I don't want to do this today. Like she'll do it, and then when she's done, she's done. But I love the therapists. I think that they've done amazing things, and I really enjoy, and I learn from them, because I'm like, oh, I'll try and do this and that. So you learn different fun things that you can do with her. And I was a teacher before, so I have some background in that type of stuff. So I always like to like create my own little things for her, like she would have in her classroom, and then the teachers and stuff, like they'll give you all the follow-ups at home. Like she's in a normal school this year. She had to be homeschooled most of her life, so it was nice. She went to a full school year, which was huge because she never could before.
Yeah.
And she loved it. So and now she's in summer school, so she gets to go there, and they let me shorten the day, so she's there because she doesn't get up early, so she goes 12 to 2:30, and they're great. This school district has been wonderful.
Yeah, you think about it, speech therapy does way more than just speech too.
Oh yeah.
Because I was learning math skills with them. I was learning filling out job applications. They did so much more than just speech. I think I worked with speech therapy more than I did with any other therapy, and it just I had no idea. Speech therapy even works with feeding.
Yeah, we did feeding therapy when she was little.
Yeah, and so you just don't think about all this because it's called speech therapy.
Yeah, there's something right. Like the OT and stuff. Like when you do these little things, like my dad was in rehab, and the one woman I clearly had a stroke, and she was just picking up little cotton balls with a spoon, and
that's what we did too.
Yeah,
they were paper clips and things.
Yeah, she had paper clips. Yeah, and to an outside person, you're like, well, that doesn't look that hard, but that's rebuilding those skills.
Right.
So it is interesting. Like, you know, I learned a lot in watching my dad do the therapy, and they taught me how to, like, how you turn him, how you move him, and he's a large man. He's tall,
Yeah.
and so obviously I'm not moving him, but just how to help him, like the cues, like where you touch them, so they know this is where you're supposed to be and stuff. So it's definitely a fascinating job to have, and you've seen people progress, which is, I think, always amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, all the different, because a lot of this stuff is now advertised on my Facebook page because of Reconnection and everything I do, but there's now sit-to-stand wheelchairs and even Hoyer lifts. So it's I've actually worked with one of the sit-to-stand Hoyer lifts, but there are things that people don't think about, and these are ways that people who have mobility issues can regain strength again. And it used to be thought that after 6 months you would never gain back, but you still gain it back. That's a muscle. You can gain that back. Even your eyes. I mean, I was trained only to use my right eye when I was younger. Now my left eye is taking over, and my right eye has to become my lazy eye.
Okay.
Because I can only use one eye at a time, because it causes double vision.
Oh, okay.
I had 2 dislocated lenses when I was younger, and so they taught me that if you use both eyes together, it causes double vision. This is the same for Marfan syndrome, because with homocystinuria, Marfan syndrome is one of the closer things that it's misdiagnosed as, because it looks so much like it until the lenses dislocate, and they dislocate just the opposite, which is how I was diagnosed.
Oh, okay.
I rubbed trisodium phosphate into my eyes.
Did you feel it when it happened?
I don't remember it.
Okay.
But I'm going off of what my parents told me, and so it's like, you get a little bit of trisodium phosphate on your eyes, and it probably stings like crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But they were doing eye washes, and I just happened to get a substitute doctor, probably fresh out of medical school.
Oh.
And because they're the ones that know everything, and the older doctors tend to be set in their ways and only will look at the more common conditions.
Right.
I was on the clinical trial at the time, and I thought what I was having was blood clots because I had raised my protein too much, and because that's one of the reasons I'm on this clinical trial, is to try and raise the protein. But so far I don't think it's working. They have I was surprised at how much the doctor did. She waited till she knew there were tests that she couldn't do while I was inpatient. And so she waited till I was outpatient to do the test.
Oh.
And so, because that way you can't do them. And so it's a doctor who actually used her brain.
Yeah. Understanding that the insurance and navigating all that stuff, and
a lot of insurance is just there to pay the bills. And so even with nutrition, if medical nutrition is billed as durable medical equipment.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And so you're thinking walker, wheelchair.
Yeah.
Nutrition? And doesn't quite fit. And
no, it doesn't, but
this does not compute. And so there were 2 years where they said, you switched to Medicaid, you switched to Medicare, and so now we can't cover this. And so you go back and you fight it, and oops, our mistake. And so it's
tough.
And so
it's like, everyone says it's like a part-time job, dealing with insurance and billing and ordering stuff and getting it all, it
is.
That's the bane of my existence. You have to do it, but
and the doctors are so much better about it back east too, because they deal with it a lot more.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The head of HCU Network America, HCU is the medical abbreviation for homocystinuria, which is why I'm here for this conference, which starts tomorrow. But they have, she posted a map one year. It's changed, but it's and so does the coverage for 4 different medical foods. We're trying to get this passed nationwide, and have been for years. They finally changed the name of the bill, which is great because it wasn't getting through under the Medical Nutrition Equity Act. People have too many misnomers. Medical foods are sold in stores. And there's things like Bisquick. Mixquick is the medical version of Bisquick, and there's Cheese Whizzer that's supposed to be Cheese Whiz, but it doesn't come in a spray can. It's more of like a jar. Some of them aren't sold anymore because of different therapies that are coming out and that are helping a lot. But even with feeding tubes, people aren't on the G-tubes as much, or they're now on TPN.
That's what Kinsley was, the Broviac TPN.
Yeah, and so they're not taking the canned medical foods through the G-tube anymore. And so so a lot of these foods are disappearing now. And so those who still need them can't get them. And the first things to disappear are the stuff that you don't have to cook. The quick foods.
Quick foods,
yeah. And so it's things like breakfast bars and stuff that you could take on the go. They have something called Go Pockets, which are kind of like Hot Pockets, and that are just microwavable. I used to make them in the air fryer, and because you don't need the sleeves, and they crisp up without them, and better than the microwave. But it's just the easy stuff you don't have to cook, and that's the stuff that goes away. And so I come up with my own versions of them, and so as stuff disappears from the store, raises in protein,
and I think it's a challenge that people don't even begin to think about or realize. Like, as I'm listening to you, what you can eat and what you do, like when I'm planning foods and stuff, and what's in it, and I can't imagine having to read every single label and the effects it could have on you. And as far as the access to the medical nutrition, I can't tell you how many times I've seen, like on my Facebook threads, different mom groups and stuff, that they were like, does anybody have this kind of formula? Because insurance denied it, or we ran out, or this or that. And it's happened to us where they denied it, and we're like, but this is all she lives off of, and it's so important. But it's something, again, that we just take for granted because you don't need it. And like her formula, at one point they denied the feeding pump to give it to her when she was on the TPN, and they're like, well, she has to use a 50% rate. I'm like, she's at a 4. We can't get her to that. And they were like, well, if you don't, then we can't give you the pump. I said, if you don't give me the pump, her organs are going to fail, and you're going to be doing other, like that type of thing. And it was so frustrating. Like, we had a medication once got cut. It was cut all over the country, and a lot of children with like cerebral palsy and stuff like that. And 4 weeks after, we couldn't refill it. They put her on something different. 2 weeks later, she was in the hospital with a bleed, throwing up blood everywhere. I'm driving to the hospital alone. Like, the ambulance had to come because they couldn't stop her from vomiting. And she had to have blood transfusion, all this stuff done. How much did that cost the hospital for the one little medicine that they denied? Yeah. I've just, it's funny, I just did a meeting about that. I can't remember, M something or other, about the medications and stuff, and making it more affordable. And I haven't read into it enough yet to know. I know with medications, the pharmacies, the pharmaceuticals, it's like, if you make medicine affordable, then they're afraid that research will stall because there won't be enough money for people to do the research. And New Jersey's a medicine chest of America, so like there's a lot of talks about all of that stuff. But like the big thing is the PBMs that are in the middle, like there's money in the middle, and it's a complicated system, and I don't understand it. And there should always be, and I say this all the time when I'm in meetings, stuff like, if this medicine exists, or this apparatus, whatever this person needs exists, nothing should stand in the way of having that in this country. And it's very, very frustrating because Kinsley needed a gait trainer. It took 9 months for insurance to approve it. She can't walk. She was little then. And like, when you're little, that's when you have time to grow and get your bones stronger, your muscles. Why am I waiting 9 months for this? Like her wheelchair, I went to get it. She got very tall, and they're like, she hasn't had it for 3 years. So you have to come back later. I'm like, her legs are literally on the ground now. And, you know, and once we get her the new wheelchair, it's still going to take another 9 months to receive it. And that type of stuff is beyond frustrating, because she's going to have spinal surgery at the end of August. She has a neuromuscular scoliosis, and, you know, going back in the hospital setting and going through all that is so challenging. But to have to make sure the wheelchair is right, and, you know, right now there's some things broken, it's getting fixed, but they're not going to be able to fix it for another 6 weeks. So, like, I know people who have, like, the van that they drive. If something breaks in the van, they can't get out of the house, you know, and there's so many things like those scenarios where, you know, people are living independently and living their lives, but then if something breaks and you got to go through insurance, and the doctor has to give them a note to say the doctor's not in your house, he doesn't know it's broken, and all of that, the whole system of it is so unnecessarily long, and it literally cripples you from being able to do what you need to do because you can't have the access to it.
Yeah, even vitamins, though, the FDA now considers them as medical food. And I asked up at OHSU, because they have the food room there, I said, can we get this in the medical food, in the food room? And he says, we'll do a meeting on it. It turns out no, because but they used to be able to prescribe it, and now they can't anymore, and because it's considered as medical food. And so it's something I'd love to talk to the FDA on, because it is something that is vital for some people who actually need this stuff to survive.
I feel like over the past year or two, like, there's been meetings that I've been placed in with the FDA or in seminars, and I feel like they're much more open now to hearing patient stories. They want to hear that in their decision making, which I think has been really brilliant. Like, they want to know exactly what we're needing. And I think, you know, if everybody has their own little part in what they do, whether you're making laws, deciding this, deciding that, but the people who really matter and whose voice needs to be at least included in this stuff is patients and the people who are living it, to explain, this is why we need this, or this is why we need that, and this is where we need your help. And I think it's been great that they're opening up to that, and that they want that more and more, so that they'll understand. Because they may not understand. Like, I think a lot of times people don't even realize what we need unless we get our ask out there. And sometimes it's hard to get that in front of the right people. I mean, that's one thing I wish, like, you know, to be able to, and that's what I think is great about your podcast, is you're able to get some of that stuff out. People need to know what they don't know and how to help and, like, force the changes that we need.
Yeah.
It's baby steps, but
there is an FDA the last day of Rare Disease Week also, but I've never been able to attend. And so I don't know if you actually get to talk to the FDA on that day.
So I have talked to the FDA through the everyday life, but for the RDAC, the Rare Disease Advisory Council of New Jersey, last year we would go to the summit and we were there, and I've met this FDA lady once before. I cannot remember her name, but she was on a Zoom call and we were able to talk and stuff back and forth about different things. It was very interactive. It was good. So there's ways. Now, the FDA panels at the summit, I don't remember. I think
it's the NIH day that they always have it at.
I went to a bio summit 2 years ago, and when the doctor that was on the panel spoke, I, like, darted out the room to talk to him because I wanted to share and ask him some things. So I think if you can find them when they come down, you can get their ear.
Yeah,
they're all very open to that. Like, it's
because I know you can talk to, like, Senate and House and that type of thing, but both in your state and in DC. But how much of it they'll actually do, that's, you know, dependent on your state and whether they're Republican or Democrat and all that stuff. I hate talking politics on this, but it's sometimes necessary. Yeah, I noticed on the audio side that New Jersey is huge. It's all over New Jersey, but video not so much. But I do get a lot of people from New Jersey on the audio side. I've always wondered why, but it seems to be the biggest territory ever since Nutrition Equity, which was the first 13 episodes.
Yeah.
And this goes way beyond just the podcast too. I've also connected people by email and Facebook groups. I have a Facebook page for it. There's clinical trials, getting into the research side of things, with drug repurposing and different things that are coming out. But it's just, there's so much more to it than just the podcast. It goes way beyond that. So it's more of a community than a podcast.
I admire the work that you do because you're connecting people, you're getting resources out there, and I think that's part of the advocacy role is, it's cliche, like if I can help one person, but I have connected people with things they didn't know existed. Like New Jersey has a lot of different resources, and if I can connect them and help them, I feel like I'm winning. And now, like what you do with your podcast, like all the information people can gain and learn from it, and also knowing that you don't have to be in politics or you don't have to be at pharma to make a difference. You can tell your story, you can write your legislation. There's so many different ways to move that needle. And it's important because you want your voice heard. Like, do you know how many times I've had dreams where I was just dreaming and I couldn't speak the words, I couldn't get them out, and I realized that was me, like just the inner like silencing of everything, the experiences. And now that I'm open about it and I talk about it, because in the beginning I didn't share much about being in the hospital. Like people would be like, are you doing okay? I'm like, yeah, like I never really opened up because I felt like it would be selfish to complain about how I feel being there when my daughter was on tubes and wires and stuff. But actually, like when I finally decided to open up, I've grown, I feel better, and it's actually grown the network of people that I can touch now, and they can now feel open to talk and then meet other people. And it's been a nice journey for the past 8 years to like I've met really great foundations that do a lot of nice work, and I'm just in all of it. And I think that's what people have to realize, like we can't take these big leaps. We have to, if we just keep inching forward, this gets us closer to our goal, and that is, my goal anyway, is to educate people, connect them, and just find a better, healthier way to provide for my daughter and other families, because that's really what we deserve and we need. And I think we're definitely not a neglected population, if you will, but unseen. And I think it's because it is rare and people don't know how to interact or engage and don't know what we need. We don't even know what we need sometimes. So I think that if you take that veil down a little bit and let people in, it touches that point where they can start to help more. And me being closed off didn't honor Kinsley at all. Like sharing about her more and more is what really honors her and her life, and that's kind of my mission.
Yeah. So what was your turning point on that? I mean, what got you to actually open up about that?
I'm a writer, and I have like literally 5 or 6 novels, half done, almost done. I have a sequel to the one novel that's not done, and she had been in the hospital a lot, and I had a life coach who I would do it online with. And the one story, it's Route 66. It's about a boy on his journey with his grandfather, and she's like, I was sharing a piece of it. She's like, this doesn't sound like a boy on a journey. It sounds like you when you were his age and what you went through. And she's like, most writing is all your real life, and it dawned on me. And I just talked about things to her, and she's like, why do you feel the need to not say like it's crappy being in a hospital and I hate this? And I'm like, because I don't want to look like a complainer, and I don't want, I feel, she's like, well, and that kind of conversation changed it to, and she's like, you should share your experience in life. She goes, because you're honoring yourself, you're honoring your daughter, and it's going to heal you from all of this stuff, and it's going to help others. And when she said that, it clicked, and I started, I do different writing, like I write for a blog and different things. So I started to write about it, and I found it empowering, and I was like, yeah, why do I? And if someone says something about me, I used to be a people pleaser, and I used to care what people thought. That went out the window a couple years ago, and now that I don't care what people think, people say things, that people are always going to say things. I'll say what I want. I'll be very honest about my feelings, and it's been the best thing for me. I feel stronger, I feel independent, and not caring, like letting go. Because I used to carry everybody's emotions. And now I carry the emotions of those who matter most, and that's it. So, and I think it's just helped me. And I hope that helps other people to realize it's okay to scream and to cry and to be upset that you're in a hospital and you don't know what you're doing. Your child is sick and it's okay to be scared. It's okay to not know what to do. Like you feel like, I always felt like I always to be in control. Everything is like this.
Yeah.
I don't know why I felt that way. I mean, that's how I was brought up. Like, I feel like I was always, no matter what was going on, I was smiling and happy and I kept forging forward. And I don't think I ever stopped until I had Kinsley. And I had to stop because my life stopped. I was in a hospital. There wasn't much I could do but reflect and like go through like a spin cycle of life. I think it's almost like a rebirth because my life as I knew it was gone. And I had to rebuild from within. And that time off maybe in the hospital, I don't think I'm realizing that till just now, may have been what in some way saved me and brought me to the me I used to be. I never thought of that till now. But that's pretty, Kinsley, there you go. You know, well, Kinsley changed me, there you go. She opened my eyes and she let me be me without apology. And that unconditional love and trust that I guess I always wanted and needed, and maybe it came in the form of this beautiful little angel. Yeah.
So, what advice would you have for others?
Advice for others would be like, and I know that this is again so easy to say, but go easy on yourself. Be kind, because it's not easy and it's not normal. It's not how your life, like the life you thought you would have, it changed, and you have to embrace that. Don't be so hard on yourself, because I would beat myself up over every little thing here, there. And have grace with yourself, because, you know, you're in this whole different world that you have to figure out again and figure out how to, like you had to learn to walk and to talk and deal with all these things. It's new, and it's not what everybody around you who seems like they've got it together and you feel like you're like, oh my God, I'm a mess. They're not dealing with the same situations. They don't have those same experiences. So I always tell people, like, just go easy on yourself, forgive yourself, and just like, you know, everyone says self-care, which when people would say that to me, I'm like, oh, you want to watch all my kids while I go self-care somewhere, you know? But I think you have to find one little thing that you can do each day. And like for me, if I could take a bath or like listen to some music or find something in me, and maybe you can't have that every day. You can't always have a good day, but if you could have more better days strung together, you know, I think you have to have faith in something or someone besides, you know, like you have, like I have a very strong faith, and I think that, you know, life is hard and it can be very challenging, and you have to look for those little good pieces in it. Like, you know, a bird out the window. It all sounds silly, and I know, as I used to be in that, we're like, where's the silver lining? But there is, and sometimes you just have to breathe and open yourself up to see that and receive it, and like you really being still within your heart and mind. And it's not easy, you know. With me, it was like everything's falling apart, but then I'd see Kinsley smile, or she'd giggle, or something like that, and then you take that and then you just keep building on it. But go easy on yourself, because you're doing the best you can. And even if it doesn't feel like it, I would go to bed every night with guilt, like I should have done this for this child, I should have done this, and it just, you know, do the best you can.
You can't, it's really difficult to dream all the same.
Well, that's it.
As much as you try, it's hard.
Yeah. I always tell them, you know, I might be with Kinsley now, but when you need me the most, you know I'll be there. And it shifts between the kids. Like, someone will be going through this situation, so I'm all there, you know. And that's just with anything. Even if you didn't have a special daughter, like, you got to shift it, mold yourself to the one who needs you the most. And then, you know, and they all kind of really understand that and respect that. And then they had to rely on each other a lot more too if I wasn't there. Like, my older daughter, Skylar, would like read books or help tuck them in. Like, so they kind of built their own little tribe. Like the sub-tribe when mom's not here and dad's not here, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, you also have the family that can help you out. So if you need that time away, somebody else can take over. So that's the advantage of having a big family.
Yes. And that's the thing, like, I think a lot of people don't get, like, respite care. They don't get that time away. And they, that would be advice to give, like, you've got to find someone, even if it's for an hour, to just unwind. And if you are in a married couple, you still have to make that time for one another. And it's exhausting, but, it's hard, but you still have to try to keep holding on to that. And you're allowed to go get your nails done or go get a bite to eat or whatever it is that your passion is or that gives you that break. You still, you're still a human being living life, and you shouldn't deprive yourself of everything that you once had or how it was. I mean, because like they say, you have to be strong to help the person you love. Well, you have to also love yourself and take care of yourself to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. There's another app that I've learned about. There's one called Noom that will pay for. They'll actually give you rewards for. It takes forever to build up, but they give you rewards for doing steps and for every little thing that you do. If you make your bed, or if you do dishes, if you cook for yourself, if you do anything, they'll give you like 10 vibes, and it adds up, and you can either donate the vibes to charity and help out, or you can save up for a gift certificate to things like Starbucks or Target. That's
nice.
Yeah, and so, but those two apps, Pulse and Noom, are great. With Noom, there is a part for if you're trying to lose weight also, which I'm not. I have one of the medical conditions that is known for tall and thin, and it's actually hard for me to gain weight, and so it's that's just but I think we'll end this now because my phone's probably gonna.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
this has been lovely.
Yeah, it's great for you to get away and great for us to learn too. But thanks for being on and all the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
It's great that you're advocating and teaching people about Kinsley and all the work that everything she's going through.
I actually really love what I do. It doesn't feel like work, and I think that's why I love it. Like, it just feels good, and it's easy for me, which I guess is just because it's who I am at the surface. Like, I have a really big heart, and I've always wanted to help people, and now I can do it in a different way, and so it's nice. I feel blessed. I told you in the beginning, I didn't want this, and now I'm here. Yeah. I get to meet someone wonderful like you, and I've met so many wonderful people, and it's just been, I'm excited to see what the future holds, and I'm wishing you all the best in all that you're doing.
It started out as nutrition equity, trying to, get all of the different conditions that were covered, but it blossomed into direct connection because I was trying to expand internationally. I had a friend who actually wanted to be on, that was from Canada, and as long as I was advocating for a U.S. bill, I couldn't take anyone outside the United States. There's also 10,000 rare conditions, and so this expands beyond rare connection. This expands beyond the Medical Nutrition Equity Act, which is now the Medical Foods and Formula Act.
Somebody's knocking.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's time to get off. Anyway.
Okay.
Thanks for watching, and so we'll be on with the main rep and
coming.
the Pennsylvania rep who couldn't be here today because of flooding. Next week on the 15th.
Yeah, lots of flooding out here.
Thanks for watching, and
bye-bye.
See you next time on Rare Connection.